I have been in formal education until the age of 27. I have spent the usual years of pre-primary school, primary school, high school, and then I went to uni for 8 long years. I was at Oxford, I did my undergrad, and then I did a master's there as well. And then I went to Cambridge and I did a PhD. And I can tell you that throughout this time, there are some very important skills that can pay forever and that are crucial to adult life that I have not learned. And I am here to share these with you. Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, my name is Sheen, and on this channel we explore ways on how to improve both our professional and personal life. So today I want to talk to you about 8 skills that I believe all of us should know from a very young age. And by young age I mean in our adult life. Because they make a huge difference in how you approach very important decisions in your life, but also because we are not taught this in formal education and they are quite important. They're not necessarily hard skills, but I wouldn't totally qualify them as soft skills either. They're a bit of a mix. So I'm not going to go with hard or soft, but they're just 8 skills that in my experience I've had to learn and have been extremely useful for me. And I know that there are skills that I will use throughout my adult life. So here I am to tell you what they are, and I will strongly recommend that if you haven't mastered these skills yet, that you look into how to master them. So to start with, the first one is decision making. I think we all know that decision making is made up of 3 main components, which is choice, preference, and based on the information that you have. We usually make decisions based on the options available, or based on our preferences, or based on the information that we have about the different options around us, right? However, another very important aspect of decision making is risk analysis. Being able to understand the associated risk with that decision and where that could potentially lead us is extremely important and can protect us from making bad decisions. This is why having that skill of being able to assess the risks and then make an informed decision is extremely important. The second skill is self-assessment or self-analysis. And this is something that I have been doing a lot more this year, which is, whenever you have a reaction to something, whenever, you're upset, you're sad, or even if you're happy about something, just having a little sit down and have a check-in with yourself and understand where are these feelings coming from. Are they based on totally, overthinking and irrational fears, or are they based on facts? If they're based on fears, then you can convince yourself to feel better. But if they're based on facts and then you learn something new about yourself, whether you have a preference against something or whether you have a preference for something, and also being able to understand where you are coming from is really important for you to help yourself to go where you want to go. And what I mean by this is, we all have life goals. We all have a vision of how we want our future life to look like. And in order to get there, we need to do a lot of things along the way, right? And to support us better, to have a better mental state to get there, you need to also understand where you are coming from, which means that you need to understand what are your triggers, what are things that make you happy, what are things that make you upset, what are things that are non-negotiables for you that needs to be part of it. And all of this realization doesn't just happen like this. Some do happen like this, but a lot of it comes from self-introspection. So therefore, being able to analyze yourself, analyze your behaviors will also make sure that you are behaving properly with other people, you're not being a bad person, but also the fact that it will help you make better decisions for yourself. The next big thing is public speaking. We have all heard about how public speaking is extremely important these days, whether you are doing it in a meeting, in a presentation, in school, or even, at conferences or online when you are creating content, you need to be able to speak openly to a group of people that's more than 3. And I understand this can be a very daunting experience. Even, whenever you're going to network, being able to speak to people you don't know and being able to present yourself in a good light can be quite scary. But the good thing about public speaking is that it is a skill that you can teach yourself, and it is something that you definitely get better at the more you practice. And I say this from personal experience because during my PhD, I had to present my work, to the team, to the group, and then sometimes we would go to conferences, and I've even been to a conference and presented to a group of like 500 people. And all of this did not happen from one day me not presenting to one day me presenting to 500 people. It was a very slow escalation. And this is what I mean by this is something you can get better at, but you do need to push yourself into these situations and understanding what your fears are. Again, we go back to number 2, understanding what is really causing the issue here. Is it because you're not sure about the knowledge that you have on the topic? Is it because you're scared of making a mistake? Are you scared of tripping in front of everybody? Just understanding all of this, and all of this will happen by trial and error. So just push yourself. The next one is a very obvious one, which is time management. Time is the best asset and resource that we have, and it is limited, right? So we need to understand how to manage it. Scheduling, booking time in, prioritizing things in your calendar, making sure you have time for yourself. All of this is super crucial. And I have made a whole video about how I manage my time personally and what are my tips in terms of better time management. So I will plug it in here somewhere. But learning how to manage your time and protect your time is very important. Now, the next one is the big scary one, which is personal finance. No one wants to talk about it, but everyone needs it, right? Managing your personal finance is, I think, the biggest daunting thing that young adults have to face. And it is crucial to understand how this needs to be done. And I will probably make a video about it at some point. But personal finance means, how you decide how much you want to spend on rent, how much do you want to spend on your personal wants rather than your needs, luxury, and how much should you save, how much should you invest. Just understanding all of this is very important. It will not only ensure that you have a balanced lifestyle and that you are not in any kind of trouble financially, but it will also feed your growth, because now you can save money for a house, you can save money for a car, you can invest money, which means that you have more money. So all of this is really important for you to make sure that you are moving towards the direction that you want to be moving, but also growing financially, as we all should. And I guess a subsection of that is also taxes. I'm lucky enough that I live in Dubai, where we do not pay income tax, but taxes is another big thing that we need to know and understand how to file, when to file, and just making sure that we're not making mistakes and keeping tab of everything that we need to keep tab in order to do our finances and taxes very well. Now, moving on from that is also having basic legal skills. It is so important to know your rights. And when I mean your rights as a consumer, your right as a homeowner, your right as an employee, and even just your human rights. It's really good to understand these things. On a day-to-day basis, we sign so many contracts and we don't really understand it. I know most of us just agree whenever there's an agreement somewhere and we don't even read it. But even if you do read it, a lot of times you don't understand most of it, right? And for example, I rented out a car and then I crashed it. And I didn't really read through the contract. And now when there's money involved, I'm looking through it and it doesn't make sense to me because I don't understand it. And this has this red alarm going in my head that I should have read this and I should understand this. So therefore, having these basic legal skills where you can understand a contract before you sign it is really important. The next one is listening skills. And I know that this is usually the forgotten part of effective communication. It is so important to be able to listen because it helps you understand better. It puts you in a better position to give an answer back. It makes you look more approachable, and also people will remember you in a better way and will come back to you to speak to you because they felt heard, which is so undervalued, by the way. And listening is very different to hearing, which is why I said listening, because you need to be able to listen to what the other person is saying with your full attention in order to understand better where they're coming from, what they're saying, and it's just overall just being a better, nicer person. And my final one is camera confidence. Don't roll your eyes at me just yet. And I don't mean this just for people who create content or who usually sit in front of a camera. But it is so important because even now we have so many virtual meetings, for example. You present online, you have to talk to your manager online, and the way you come across, your comfort level and your confidence on camera can really dictate how people perceive you and therefore how much you can get your way, you know? Of course, camera confidence is important for creators. We are always sat in front of the camera or in your phone camera, and you need to be able to look at the lens instead of looking at the little monitor to make sure you look okay. So all of these are things that you need to learn, and being very comfortable with talking at a lens rather than at a person. And these are obviously helpful for content creators. But generally in the world of work, so much is virtual. We have Zoom meetings, we have Teams meetings, and you have to present sometimes online. And even in interviews now, they sometimes ask you to record yourself answering questions. So just your comfort level and your confidence that is appearing on camera can make a huge difference in making sure that things swing in your favor, you know? So being comfortable with talking in front of a camera cannot be harmful. And it will come up at some point because the future of work is really going to incorporate cameras a lot. So it's a good skill to have. So here you have it. These are, in my opinion, the 8 skills that you need to learn in 2023 and master them. It is always a journey. You identify the skills that you want to learn, read about it, find YouTube videos, find the books that are helpful, and find what's working for you, and just learn them. And trust me, it will make a huge difference for you, even if not immediately, but at some point it will help you in situations where you least expect it. I hope this was helpful. If you have any suggestions on other skills that we should learn in 2023, put them down in the comment section below. And I'll see you in the next video. Until then, take care. Bye.